Greetings, salutations, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevis Major, doing it major. And guys, it's Virgo season, so we got to come back with a banger. And actually, I was just thinking, man, what do I really want to talk about? There's the Virgo archetype that we could dive into. But also, this week is a major week, no pun intended. We just got the sun sliding into Virgo. So, shout out to all the Virgos. Go, Virgo, go, Virgo, go, Virgo. Virgos are going to be the example of what we're going to be, you know, tapping into, what we should do or what we shouldn't do. Mutable earth, sorry. So, we're going to dive into the Virgo energy a bit and also try to see how we could forecast or analyze what's happening this week. We got Mercury also sliding into Virgo, and then Sun is gonna conjunct Mercury in Virgo. There's gonna be a lunar eclipse in Pisces, and then a full moon, lunar eclipse, full moon in Pisces to basically end off the month. There's some other hard hitting aspects this week. For the most part, Sun squaring off with Uranus. We could see that right there. What we got Mercury also gonna square off with Uranus, trining with Chiron tomorrow. What's Mars doing? Nothing with Mars, nothing other major going on over here. So we're just looking at what's happening with the Sun and Moon primarily, and Mercury, of course. Okay, so big week we're having this week, and let's see how much information we could dive into before the memory folds up. I think we got about a good 17 minutes of dialogue. Okay, so let's dive into Virgo, right? Virgin, mutable earth. So most of my references are going to be coming from one of the best-selling astrology classics, The Inner Sky. I think this book is a great reference. I recently got it and I haven't fully dived deep into it, but just from the things that I've read so far, it's quite interesting. So we're going to be, jumping in a few of the pages and see what the author, Stephen Forrest, has to say about the Virgos. But for the most part, we know that Virgo is mutable earth. Mutable being changeable, adaptable, versatile, flexible, you know, to the curveballs that life could throw to us. However, there's always a goal or aim of the Virgo, right? Or of any sign in particular. And so we're going to go into the references and see what they have to say about the Virgos. All right. So one thing about Virgo, it has a lot of references to the Virgin. There's the Virgin Mary, that's related to the Virgo in astrotheology, and you know the virgin birth is kind of a mystery, right? Well, the author has done his bit to unravel the astrological mythology of the virgin. So I'm going to read, you know, what Stephen Forrest has to say. Drop a comment down below if you're a Virgo. I'm saying shout out to all of the Virgos. All right, the virgin, of all symbols, the most difficult to grasp. And when you think about it, how do you really analyze virgin? Like, what do they mean, right? About the virgin. Okay, in astral theology, they talk about the sun being birthed into a new sign, the sign of Virgo, taking the sun out of one of its most, prominent positions. And so after he leaves that position, his most prominent position, when the sun is the hottest, they see that as a new sun, a pure sun, bringing in, some new type of qualities, right? But let's see what the author says. We think of virginity as inexperience, but this is not a symbol of inexperience, nor of prudery, nor of any flight from passion. The virgin is the image of purity. Okay, so like a new influence. Nothing has possessed her. She is attached to nothing, wants nothing, fears nothing. Nothing holds her. She is free, unbothered by any earthly drama. You feel that's true for Virgos? Virgos, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Alright. Yet she is here on the earth. What does the world offer one who seeks nothing but perfection? Ooh. What can she do with weights aloft as the Madonna? She works on herself, and to pass the time, she helps out where she can. Okay, so we know that Virgo, mutable, the archetype is the servant, um, deriving a lot of traits from the sixth house. And so if we dive more into the sixth house, I have some books that talk about the houses. But if we dive more into the sixth house, we know that the sixth house is that house of services or servitude, or some people classically say would be the house of the slave, right, or the servant. But it's that job that you could offer to others, um, because you've perfected, your craft, right? You're so diligent, so mercurial in the things that you do. It comes off as easy, right? It's one of your pastimes. And I could see this very, very prevalent in a close relative of mine. She has a spa, and because that's just what she's into, she created a whole business around it. And so I could see that point being very relevant. She works on herself, and to pass the time, she helps out where she can. And that help out where she can could be a whole empire for the Virgo. And so what could we extract from this as we go into the Virgo season? We may not all be Virgos, right? And this Virgo season is just the Sun and Mercury sliding through for 30 days. So what does that mean, right? How could that, you know, influence us in a positive way? Well, one thing I could say um, is that try to perfect your craft, right? Or some element of your life that, you need to be, putting work in. We know that it says she works on herself, and as the time passes, she's able to help out where she can. There's also um another page that I wanted to go to. Let me see, I had it marked here, or did I mess it up? What did I do? uh Sixth house, yes, sixth house, because the sixth house is where most of the qualities of the Virgo is derived from. And so fulfillment through the development of the personal, meaningful skill that is of value to others. Virgo in a nutshell, right? On the negative side of the Virgo is endless busyness at tasks that have no personal meaning. I don't know how to pronounce this word, but drudgery, wage slavery, uh, humili humili humiliatingly subordinate roles in key relationships. Sorry that I butchered that word. I'm also trying to read more books so I could, fluently tackle some of the more, unvisited words, right? Words that we don't really use much. Humiliatingly subordinate words. And so again, how could we perfect our craft? How could we improve? And so we don't have to be in wage slavery or humiliatingly subordinate roles in key positions, in key relationships, in, powerful positions or just key locations, right? Um, let's continue with the sixth house here, because I think this was quite powerful when we are trying to just extrapolate something, some nugget that could be helpful. Again, like I said, we are not all Virgos, and so it's just the Sun and Mercury sliding in there. What could we learn? What could we implement in this 30 days? A friend phones us distraught. She got a job interview 200 miles away. She needs to get on the road within an hour, and her car will not start. We drive over and take a look under the hood. Corroded terminals posts on the old battery. Pull out the plier and the Boy Scout knife, pry off the cables, scrap down the post. In 3 minutes, her engine is purring, right? Ready to go. How do we feel? Happy, proud. We can't stop grinning. Have we gained anything for ourselves? Not really. At least not in any obvious way. From a purely selfish point of view, all we have done is waste an half an hour of our time. But that is not how we experience it. What we have accomplished is a successful navigation of the sixth house. And so, again, improving yourself to the point where, something simple saves somebody thousands of dollars. This person is able to travel 200 miles for this job interview just because of a skill that you were able to harness, right? And so, if we could go further, we have demonstrated a personal skill in such a way that it helped another person. And whatever we do that we feel a characteristic satisfaction. Okay. In medieval astrology, the sixth house is the house of servants. I already touched on that. Anything you want to know about problems you may face with your stable boys maids, you can get the answer here. Clearly, in the 20th century, has demanded a more fundamental. We think about this house. No longer does this house serve as the house of servants. No, we ourselves are the servants, but not in a degrading or menial sense. This house is recognized as the elemental human need, the desire to exercise competence and to be recognized for it. And so, whatever it is, for me, it's astrology and, amongst other things. And so, competence, getting into different books. For me, I like to make videos as well. And so, the microphone, so we have better audio. I'm already preempting the Virgo energy. So I could just have a nice little dance during this 30 days. And so this week, I mean, I wish I was a bit more organized so we could dive into the moon, because the moon is going to be in Pisces. Maybe I could flip through some pages and see if we could find something about, this moon being in Pisces. But for the most part, the overarching theme, we'll do that in the next video. The overarching theme, what we could all try to implement in this Virgo season, like they talked about, not trying to be on the negative end, being in a subordinate position because of incompetence, right? In any realm, or the realm that, you most want to indulge in. And so I think we're going to end the video there. Shout out to all the Virgos once again. We're going to be looking at y'all under the microscope so we could pick up some nuggets. We could see, okay, how could I be a bit more, Virgorian in a sense. Also, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, right? And Pisces is the opposite. We're going to do another video or more videos, right, about, what's happening. Don't want to make this one too long, but just want to emphasize again that this week is going to be major. All right. So major farewell until we meet or greet again, and see you guys in the next video. The remote ain't working.